Hello everyone, welcome to my English classes. Today we are going to do a chapter titled Nelson Mandela Long Walk to Freedom, which is chapter 2 from English 10th grade book First Flight. So basically this chapter is an extract taken from the autobiography of Nelson Mandela. In South Africa there was a brutal practice named apartheid. So what is apartheid? So basically it refers to the discrimination between people on the basis of race. This lesson gives us an overview as to how Nelson Mandela, along with others leaders, carved their way to a society that would be free from discrimination, which is made on the basis of color, caste, race, or gender. The text reads as 10th May dawn bright and clear. So why was 10th day bright and clear? We'll get to know. So the text even tells us that for the past few days, Nelson Mandela was surrounded by dignitaries and leaders who were coming to pay their respects before the inauguration ceremony. And this inauguration ceremony would be the largest gathering ever of international leaders on South African soil. And where was this ceremony taking place? The ceremonies would take place in the Sandstone Amphitheatre formed by the Union Buildings in Pretoria. So for many years, for decades, this has been the seat of white supremacy, and now it was, the site of a rainbow gathering of different colors. So what does the author mean by this? Rainbow has different colors. Similarly, that particular day on the inauguration ceremony, people of different color assembled, to witness the inauguration ceremony, which meant installations of South Africa's first democratic non-racial government. Even 10th May is referred to here as Autumn Day. So you get a question in your exams, why 10th May is referred to as Inauguration Day. So the answer is 10th May is an autumn day in South Africa because on this day there was the largest gathering of international leaders on South African soil for the installation of South Africa's first democratic non-racial government. And it is also told to us in this part of the text that on this lovely autumn day, I was accompanied by my daughter Zanani. On the podium, Mr. de Klerk was first sworn in as second deputy president. So who was sworn in as second deputy president? It was Mr. de Klerk. Thabo Mbeki was pledged in as the first deputy president. So when it was Nelson Mandela's turn, he pledged to obey and uphold the constitution. He also pledged to devote himself to the well-being of the republic and its people. To the assembled guests and the watching world, he said that he is going to confer glory and hope to newborn liberty. Out of the experience of an extraordinary human disaster that lasted too long, must be born a society which all humanity will be proud. So what is meant by extraordinary human disaster? That is nothing but reference to apartheid, right? Discrimination on the basis of race. So says that now out of this will be born a society where everybody will be treated equally and everybody will be proud of. So he also talks about distinguished international guest in his speech where he says that everybody has to come to take possession with the people of our country of what it is after all a common victory for justice. So everybody has assembled here to you know to enjoy justice, peace of human dignity. So he also says that people have now achieved, or we have now achieved political emancipation. So he mentions that, after great struggle, they have finally achieved political freedom. His government promised to free everyone. Okay. So in a country where there will be no inferior or superior, everybody is going to be treated as equals. He also exclaims that, freedom should rule and may God shower his blessings on their land. And he ends his speech by saying that never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another. The sun shall never set on to glorious or human achievement. Let freedom rule. God bless Africa. So he says that a society will be formed where everybody is proud of and where everybody is free. So he even prays to God and says that uh, may God shower his blessing on their beautiful land. I'll read out the lines from the text. It reads as a few moments later, we all lifted our eyes in awe as a spectacular array of South African jets, helicopters, and troop carriers rode in perfect formation over the Union building. So it means that, just after the newly elected president's address to the audience, an impressive arrangement of fighter jets, helicopters, and troop carriers, raised everyone's heads up in the sky. So it was not only a display of pinpoint precision and military force, but it was also a demonstration of the military's loyalty to democracy, the new non-racist government, right? So you might get a question, what does that symbolize? Why was such an arrangement done? So the answer would be this. Again, the writer tells us that, the high commanders who have won medals for their bravery also saluted and promised their loyalty. When the military general saluted Mandela, he was not unmindful of the fact that not too many years ago, they would not have saluted him, but arrested him. So I'll read that line from you, for you. I was not unmindful of the fact that not so many years before, they would not have saluted, but arrested me. Okay. So again, he tells you, on the day of the inauguration, two national songs were sung, one by the whites and the others by the black. So what does that symbolize? This symbolized, the equality of blacks and whites. It was very important to pay respect to the feelings and emotions of both the communities. Hence, two national anthems were sung on that inauguration day. You might get a question, why did they think it important to, play both the national anthems on that particular day? So it also showed solidarity with white people, telling them, it's paving the way, or it paved the way for a multicultural society. So the line of the text which tells us so is this: the day was symbolized for me by playing of our national anthems and the vision of the whites and the blacks singing. Okay. And here the last part of the text will tell us what was the form of the government in the first half of the 20th century and the last decade of the 20th century. In the previous slide, I already mentioned that the last part of that slide, it talks about the system of government in the first decade of the 20th century and also the last decade of the 20th century. You get a question on the same as well. So we'll discuss on that line. So in the first decade of the 20th century, the white-skinned people of South Africa, they patched up the differences and they erected a system of, racial domination against the dark-skinned people of their own land. This creating the basis of one of the most inhuman societies the world had ever known. So this form of government was overturned in the last decade of the 20th century, and it was replaced by one that recognized the rights and freedoms of all the people, regardless of the color of their skin. So now how this was made possible? This free and equal society was a result of sacrifices of countless of other men and women who had fought all their lives for this day. Nelson Mandela wishes if he could thank them, but unfortunately, they are not alive to see the result of their courage. Nelson Mandela gathered his power and courage from all these people, and thus, he wishes to make them proud. On this auspicious day, Mandela regretted the loss of thousands of people and remembered their sacrifices for the freedom from discrimination. And he even says that he is the sum of all those African patriots who sacrificed their lives before him. He was pained that he could not thank them. And he even recalls great freedom fighters. I will read the line from the text, which I have explained just now. I felt that day, as I have so many other days, that I was simply the sum of all those African patriots who had gone before me. That long and noble line ended now again with me. I was pained that I was not able to thank them, and they were not able to see what the sacrifices had wrought. So he's pained to think that he cannot thank them. And even those people cannot see what their struggle had brought in, right? The policy of apartheid created a deep and lasting wound in my country and my people. And now he remembers the great freedom fighters like, I'll read out the names. I feel the students, you too need to remember this name of the leaders, freedom fighters, if you can. So it says, the text reads as, from the profound hurt, but the decades of oppression and brutality had another unintended effect, and that was it produced the Oliver Tambos, the Walter Sisulas, the Chief Lithulas, the Yusuf Dadus, the Bren Fishers, the Robert, of our time. So it was this torture, this humiliation which could produce these great freedom fighters who are not alive today. But Nelson Mandela here takes an opportunity to thank them all for their sacrifices. So he says that these were men of uncommon courage, wisdom, and generosity. So in this part of the text, Nelson Mandela tells us that, it is such depth of oppression, or it requires such depth, oppression, and torture and humiliation to create such heights of character, to create such great freedom fighters and nationalists who fought for the sake of freedom, who were ill-treated, but they never gave up fighting. So he says, my country is rich in the minerals and gems that lie beneath its soil, but I have always known that its greatest wealth is its people, finer and truer than its pure diamonds. So here he tells us that, the country is rich in minerals, but its greatest wealth is its people, finer and truer than the purest diamonds. Nelson Mandela gathered his strength to stand against the wrong from all the great nationalists, right, freedom fighters who risked their lives for freedom. And they tolerated humiliation, ill treatment, but they never gave up fighting. He also learned that, courage does not mean absence of fear, but the triumph over it. So he tells us in the text that I learned that the courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. And the brave person is not one who does not feel afraid, but the one who can conquer that fear. So he learned that courage does not mean the absence of fear, but the ability to overcome fear. He also talks about love and hate in the next paragraph. He tells us that one is taught by society to hate humans because of their skin, color, age, gender, religion. But no one is born with hatred. If one can be taught to hate, so definitely one can also be taught to love because it comes more naturally than hate, right? So he also tells us that, in the most testing times in prison, when he was being treated brutally, Mandela would see a pinch of humanity and kindness in one of the guards, and that was enough to keep him going. Nelson Mandela believed that, goodness in human beings can never be eliminated. It can be suppressed for a while, but it cannot be eliminated. I would like you to remember these lines from the text, which I'm going to read it right now. No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or his background or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love, which I've just explained. For love comes naturally to the human heart than its hate, or than its opposite of love, that is hate. So he says that even in the grimmest times in prison, I could see a glimmer of humanity in one of the guards, and which was enough to keep me going. And the last line of this paragraph reads as, goodness is a flame that can be hidden but can never be extinguished. So there are a few lines in this part of the text which I feel you need to know, and you need to use these lines in your answers when you get a question from this part of the text. So I would like to read out a few lines again. The first could be, my country is rich in the minerals and gems that lie beneath its soil, but I have always known that the greatest wealth is its people, finer and truer than the purest diamonds. You even get a question from this part of the text. The second line could be, I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. And a brave man is not who does not feel afraid, but one who conquers that fear. And the third one would be, if one is taught to hate, then one can also be taught to love because it comes more naturally to the human heart. And the last line of this paragraph, goodness is a flame that can be hidden but can never be extinguished. So with this, I end this video. If you like this video, please do like, share and subscribe to my channel. The other part of the text I am going to cover in another video. Thank you for watching.